Guys, it's been 1 year and counting since the young people of Kenya took to the streets demanding accountability from the government on everything from human rights violations and enforced disappearances to basic questions about where all the money from the public coffers goes. The president stood before the nation and promised to address the situation.
To the young people of Kenya, who I must thank for helping our country organize our democratic discourse around issues, I thank you and assure you that the conversation you have begun around pertinent issues of our nation will continue to inform our policy and governance decisions. As I promised on Sunday, this conversation will not be in vain. I will not only champion for the cause of issue-based, policy-oriented, and tribeless engagement on critical national issues, but also provide a framework for this conversation to be processed and its outcomes implemented.
Yes, that was a promise. Now, the conflict between Kenyans and their government is like a dysfunctional household. The children, frustrated and bruised, approach the father with a petition. They complain about violence in the home, missing money that keeps on vanishing into strange corners, and a general breakdown of order. And as always, the father nods solemnly and promises to fix everything. ASAP, he might even sob while at it. I hear you, my Gen Z children. Niko na mpango ya kumaliza hii maneno yote in 2 weeks. And rest assured, no one will be abducted. Hakuna mtu atakuwa blindfolded and taken to the guest room for any torture sessions.
Oh. All of them have been brought back to their families and to their homes. And I have given clarity and firm instructions that nothing of that kind of nature will happen again.
And just when the kids think they are making progress, Dad returns a week later and says, and by the way, niko na mrembo mwingine, so honestly, I don't give a hoot what you guys think of me, na kinye mutasema hiyo ni shauri yenu. Back to June 2024, what did the young people do in its aftermath? They licked their wounds and lived to fight another day. Well, those who lived to fight another day, because not everyone made it out. More than 60 young Kenyans lost their lives in the hands of security forces. But you know, someone somewhere will say they hit their heads against bullets. Today we have actual verified families who remain shattered to this day. Did the government follow through on its promises? Your guess is as good as mine. But here's what they did follow through on: upping the brutality against unarmed demonstrators. And this time with the added flair of fully funded goons. This is how institutions dodge accountability. When you're hit with a rock, a panga, or your phone is snatched before you're beaten with a crude weapon, how do you even begin to know who did it? And of course, the excuses roll in like clockwork. They were just businessmen protecting their shops. And when that doesn't stick, you will hear a different tune. Or it's my political opponent. He sent goons to tarnish my name because I'm all for siasa safi. Typical mchezo ya town. Now, the goon industry has become so lucrative, it's no longer a struggling small and medium enterprise. It is now a full-blown, publicly listed venture on the Nairobi Political Exchange, complete with guaranteed returns, post-investment packs, and a clear path to career growth. In chaos. Take a listen.
Nimekuja hapa tunasema ati huyu ndio captain wa gunzi. Nilikuwa gunzi. So nimechaguliwa.
So you are a goon?
Yes. So mtu asikuja ati anaanza kutisha matakwe. Nilikuwa goon. Lakini nimebadilika. Wewe sema ati muizi ameiba, kesho akabadilika, unasema ni muizi. Nilikuwa gunzi.
Ulikuwa goon for how long?
Kwanza ubina, wacha kuwa goon, mimi nimeteseka.
Tunakama hapo.
Hata ndo nataka nikuambia ndo nikuje nikuwe gunzi.
Tunakam kwa penye ulizaliwa ukalelewa alafu ikaingia.
Hiyo gunzi.
Nataka kujua ulikuwa goon for like how long?
Miaka mingi bro.
Okay.
Like 15 years.
Ulikuwa goon for 15 years?
Yes.
Ukinyonga tu watu naibia watu nini?
Tumefanya vitu mingi bro.
Unaiwa watu?
Sijaiwa mtu.
Uko sure?
Na siasa yangu pia sifanyia blood.
Watu wote wenye ulinyonga uko sure walifika home.
Siasa yangu ni ya kuchapa mtu na nilichapa Salasia. chapa ngumi.
Ulichapa Salasia?
Ai. Salasia. Kwani alinyamaza mdomo kwa nini? Ilimguza. Na ni mimi situmi mtu. Kama nimemwoni mbaya ni one man show.
We have reached a point where goons can be transported from one corner of the republic to the other whenever reinforcements are needed. And guess what? Being a goon now pays so handsomely that even bandits are shutting down operations.
Juzi wamelia ati sijui Sakaja ameleta vijana wachache na rungu hapo na nini ati hapa Nairobi kuwafukuza. Walilia kwa rungu hiyo kidogo ya juzi, lakini wacha wajaribu wiki hii. Wale vijana watatoka sehemu hii wataonyesha maana ya kukimbia ni nini.
The Honorable William Kamket, member for Tiati, is a prince of peace.
From inciting violence and threatening to mobilize individuals to infiltrate otherwise peaceful protests, to a self-proclaimed Prince of Peace, all in a span of 2 days, a typical Kenyan politician. Despite being caught on record of threatening violence, Kamket boldly doubled down on his remarks, instead shifting blame and declaring himself the Prince of Peace, before he was shut down and called to order by House Speaker Moses Wetangula.
Do you know what a Prince of Peace
Yes,
means?
you are looking at one, Mr. Speaker.
Critical questions here. Have the demonstrators been violent? By and large, no. The protests have been largely peaceful, except of course when we need them not to be, like when 2 vehicles magically go up in flames right in the heart of town. Suspicious license plates, no owners coming forward to say, hey guys, you burnt my vehicles. Huh? Surely. Convenient, isn't it? Goons and violence aside, let's shift gears to matters money and accountability. As a factor in the Gen Z uprising of June 2024, the Finance Bill of 2024 was trying to slap some hefty tax hikes on everyday essentials, all in a bid to raise in billions for the usual government business. I mean, the government always needs your money to function. Sasa, to cover small routine bills like, refurbishing State House and presidential lodges for a modest 1.5 billion Kenya shillings. Just to be clear, that was for the last financial year. This year, they had your cries, so they tried to tone it down a little to just around 895 million thereabout, yeah? Because let's be honest, those buildings need regular touch-ups. We are human and we also get tired of seeing the same sofas, and I'm sure they also get tired of the same sofas and the same curtains, and that is why they just need a new vibe. And then of course, a larger chunk of that money goes into servicing public debt. We are talking a ballpark figure of about 11.5 trillion, roughly as per stats from first quarter of this year. That's 2025. Now, that's a jaw-dropping 70% of our GDP. Not exactly a nice thing, especially if you know what public debt and GDP mean. If you need a refresher, don't worry, let's digress a bit. Here's some quick tea.
Economic terminologies. Number 1, GDP. And number 2, balance of trade. Thank you. Honorable Ikana, the GDP. Yeah. The GDP of DLC is 100. What your understanding of the GDP is? The growth per the current population and the escalation of the population of that country.
Yes, the GDP is the current escalation of the population of that country. Maybe that guy was onto something, yeah? Maybe GDP actually stands for gross out domestic population, which in this case would be the youth. But hey, like they say, what you don't know can't hurt you, right? Now, if you don't know what GDP is, you probably won't stress about national debt. And maybe that's why we keep borrowing and spending recklessly, because we just don't know. Unaoma mpaka jirani anakuambia, guy neighbor, leo hata tao upati, umepitisha GDP, pengine ujaribu next year. Anyway, what I'm getting at is most Kenyans are truly disappointed at how we somehow keep raking up massive debt. And despite seeing huge budget allocations supposedly set aside to repay it, the debt situation never seems to improve. It's like going to the gym every evening, jumping around for hours, but your weight never seems to go down. Like, what the heck, right? And you know how impatient young people can be. Yeah, they want instant results. But somehow, Kenya's debt is here to stay. Then there is the second issue, taxation for development. Ever since the KK government swung into power, we've seen some grand projects which from a distance seem like noble ideas. Unfortunately, what took many Kenyans to the streets is the lack of clear frameworks when it comes to those particular projects. For example, if you pinch some of my cash and tell me you are going to build me a government house without even first asking me whether I need food or a house or school fees for my children, of course I'm going to have a problem with that. And on this housing matter, first, it was introduced as a savings plan. You know, a contribution, a plea. Akiwoye, wacha tutakuwekea hizi pesa, just give us some money, we'll build you a house. Maybe, possibly, and then tutakupatia ukiretire. Then boom, it changed to, I am a friend, your money will now be used to build someone else's house. This is a tax. It is non-refundable. Wewe tunakwambia asante. Blessed is the hand that gives. You have now blessed your government. The housing tax, alongside a slew of others for which Kenyans struggle to see any real value, has only worsened the already high cost of living. Even the once insulated end-month middle class is now feeling the pinch. And for young people, many of whom by the way are battling unemployment, the perception of an unresponsive government fuels deep disillusionment. Add to that the widespread belief in mismanagement of public funds, compounded by the visible extravagance of a few in the centers of power. Yep, just random big boys and big girls working hand in hand with an apparent big god. In the period leading up to the Gen Z revolt, the Kenyan Republic under Caesar Zacchaeus Tacitus was slowly morphing into a mini Rome of sorts. Kenya Kwanza elites paraded their luxuries with imperial confidence. Watches worth a year's rent flashed on wrists, and stacks of cash flowed like wine at fundraisers.
Milioni moja, 1.5, 1.6, 0.9, 3 million shillings.
The most expensive watch you have?
That which I bought with my own money.
Yes.
Well, it was almost like, I think if I remember well, because it's time now, it's about 900,000 or something. Watch, yeah. Yeah.
1 year on, have things changed? Oh yes. I mean, can't you see? Because now we are not fundraising. No, not at all. These days we are doing empowerment, and all that money is not from taxpayers. Come on, perish the thought. Tema your mate. This is money from friends, generous, anonymous, ever-present friends. If you don't believe me, that's up to you.
Kapseret Constituency Economic Empowerment Program, organized by the area MP and a close ally of President William Ruto, Oscar Sudi, is one of the fund drives organized by the government-allied leaders on Friday.
Ndugu yangu Oscar Sudi, umepata A+. Hiyo ni 4.3 million.
Here, apart from the millions of cash money, including a 2 million contribution from the president himself, motorbikes, tailoring machines, and matatu vans were also donated. The leaders insisting that no taxpayers' money was spent.
Hakuna hata shilingi moja ya serikali iko hapa. Hata dururi. Hii ni urafiki. Ile mimi naambianga nyinyi mimi ni mkarabati.
And that's where we leave it for today's press point. In the end, it's up to every Kenyan, I guess, to decide just how dysfunctional they would be willing to co-sign in this great republic of ours.
First, you need to notify the police, and you agree with the police. This is where you're going to start the demonstration, and we will follow this route up to this end here, and this will be the end of the demonstration. And from this time to this time. So we need to have a proper working relationship, because demonstrations are going to come all the time. There will be reason for demonstrations. So we should not criminalize demonstrations.